This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful, though a bit smoky day, October 19th, 2022. Today we're going to be talking about markets, both nationally and locally. But before we get going on that, I have Danielle, Catherine, and Julie here are going to talk a little bit about the Northstar Community Initiative, which, if you guys remember from before, that's a new charity that Danielle has put together with her team of Catherine and Julie, and I'm super excited to hear about it. So, Danielle, please let me know when you would like me to change to the next
Okay.
screen.
I think Julie's going to start us off, or Catherine.
Yeah. So, hey, everybody. This is Julie. Thanks so much for letting us share this with you. We're super excited to circle back on Danielle's presentation that she gave a while back about starting this nonprofit that is more closely connected to the brokers at Bend Premier, so we can have a strong hand in it. Some of you guys might know who Simon Sinek is. He's very popular with a book that's Start with Why. You know, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And he had a really good quote that I liked, and it's, when we help ourselves, we find moments of happiness, but when we help others, we find lasting fulfillment. So we're just going to share with you kind of where we're at in this process, and provide you with lots of opportunities to hopefully empower everybody to, you know, find that fulfillment and make it fit in your busy lives. So, yeah.
Thanks, Julie. So our vision statement is, so next slide, please, Anaya. Our vision statement is advocating for the Central Oregon culture of connection and awareness through direct, impactful support of local causes. We've all experienced challenges in our lives, and let's help as real estate professionals. We are expert problem solvers. So can you skip to the next slide? And then the slide after that, Linnea. Yeah. And the next slide too, please. So as brokers in the community, our vision for the nonprofit is we are going to be building organizations and also build up organizations by providing them support through health, support, food, medical needs, mental health resources, supplies, dignity. A presence helps us not only foster a community of warmth and connection, but also tears apart division, opposition, negativity, and violence. And most importantly, it grows heart and community. Next slide, please, Danielle, and then it's Danielle's turn.
All right. Strengthening our community, that makes it possible for us to succeed. We're here working in our community, bringing new members, helping them get on their way. They also want to know more about our community, and who better to have a hand in it is us, community experts, real estate brokers, problem solvers. So we'd love to build some additional organizations, but also build up the organizations that already exist and pour into our neighborhoods. Neighbor Impact, SMART, Sparrow, Humane Society, Partners in Care, wonderful organizations that also should be recognized and should garner some of our help that we have. Next slide, please. Making significant contribution to our communities, and this is how it could work. So if I do 10 deals per year and set aside $200 per closing, and this number is variable, changeable, whatever you can do, whatever you would like to do. It doesn't need to be money, it can be time, board membership as well. $200 per closing brings us to $2,000 per year. If we could get all 60 of us brokers to do this as well, we could potentially have $120,000 per year to make significant impact to real people in our people in our community that we help build. We get to decide together where the funds and challenges and problems need our attention, the things that matter most to us. Make it, but we can also make it automatic and easy with easy deductions through the NAIA, checks to the organization, or just, getting out there and helping us feed people or talk with people, donate clothing, that kind of things. It doesn't have to be money, it can be time invested. Next slide, please. Then what? We give important resources to real people. Homelessness as examples, housing affordability, which, we are in housing, widow and widower awareness, bend broker support for life's challenges, catastrophe funds, dream fund for low income local kids, existing organizations like Core Community Land Trust, Partners in Care, Bethlehem Inn, Northstar events. I'd love to put together some Northstar events to educate um, our newer communities on Bend history. And our newer community is a large number of our people. Bend history, current Central Oregon challenges, think tanks. We've got a really great community of entrepreneurs now. And if we can figure out how to stay in this great town and make money, we can also figure out, how to help our suffering community. Next slide, please. The best thing is we can decide together where the funds go, where our help goes, needing help and supporting existing initiatives. Give to need that is specific to our own experiences. I've got some family members and some friends who suffer greatly with homelessness, alcoholism, things like that. So that's where my heart goes. But we collectively, have experiences in all sorts of hardships. So if you're interested in donating, what are your needs? Where do you come from? What speaks to your heart in this community? We can vote on charities that we'll donate to, have ongoing fund for unexpected catastrophes in our communities, and we decide together and have a close hand in giving with our hearts and being involved with our community. Next slide. Let's keep it simple, though. Donate how you feel comfortable, money, time, and events. Deduct per transaction, write a check for your contribution, donate your time, and show us which causes are important for you. Pooled resources can make bigger impacts on causes that matter to you, to us, to all of us. Next slide, please. Let's build it together, people.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Julie. Any questions from anybody regarding this initiative? This has been something that Danielle's been talking about for a while. This is a charity. It's actually a registered charity. So any deductions that go to this would be tax deductible. So it's all been put together. They're ready to roll it all out. So I think it's a great cause. It's kind of given me some thoughts to think about. If this can make a go of it, this is something that we could actually even bring out to the broker community as a whole in Central Oregon and encourage other people to donate to it. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful things that could be done through this, and I'm excited that Danielle had it in her heart to work towards this, and I'm just excited, and hopefully we can all make this work. So if anyone has questions, feel free to put it with this new format. I don't know, I can't see where there's a chair, the chat any longer, but I do see I do see this raise your hand call, and I also see that we'll have obviously we can reach out directly to Danielle and figure out how to do it, and we'll give you guys more information as we move into this further. Any yeah, go ahead.
Thanks everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for this in your heart. It's so important. And Catherine and Julie, thank you so much. Okay, now in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get going on let me put this down. I'll get going on, I'll share what's happening here in the world. And let's see here. Where's my thing about starting at the first slide? Where is it? It's hiding. There it goes, underneath this new format. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about what's happening in the national real estate world. And as we know, we're dealing with a lot of different things. And it's one of those times when uh, the economy gets uncertain and things start really changing. Um, here we go. The economic uncertainty does settles, those buyers and sellers who are on the sideline will jump back into the housing game. Demographic trends support elevated purchase demand in the years to come. So it's a question of when, not if, for the housing market. And that's a quote from Mark Fleming, the chief economist of First American. And we are seeing this right now. There is a lot of economic uncertainty. I know that the rise in interest rates has definitely impacted people. So we're going to be talking about interest rates, home prices, and then some real positive things on a national level before we get moving into what's happening at the local level. So let's move on to the next slide here. So we all see headlines like this. Federal speaks, Florida again, crashing, volatility, bottom line. We see what's happening in the stock market. And again, lots of uncertainty, a lot of concern. What are we going to be seeing in the future? It's a little nerve-wracking as we make our way into this, but just understand that in times of uncertainty, people follow the certain. What is something that they can hold on to? And that's why we, as realtors, should have the best information to provide to our clients and people that we meet, are people who may be thinking of listing or selling or buying, and they just don't know. So being the person who has that information will enable us to be the people who have the certainty, have that information. So will mortgage rates keep rising? That's a big question. A lot of people are wondering. So here's what we're seeing. Headlines like this. Mortgage rates reach the highest level since 2008. The 30-year fixed rate mortgage jumps over 7%. The U.S. housing market stares down an even bigger economic shock and mortgage rates near 7%. We are seeing a lot of changes. We are seeing this, and it's definitely impacting the buying power of our clients. So this is what we're seeing. This was as of Freddie Mac, the fixed rate, January through the end of September. Again, the end of September. And you can see that since January at 3.22%, that seems like a lifetime ago. That was just January, beginning of this year. And look what's happening. It really reflects really well with this line. It's just almost, is that like a 45-degree line upward on what we're seeing here with interest rates just kind of shooting up there. We are seeing it. It's scary for our buyers. It's making a lot of people stand back and hold and kind of wondering what's next. So mortgage rates rise for the sixth consecutive week, and this is from Sam Catter from Freddie Mac. He's a chief economist, and again he says the uncertainty and volatility in financial markets is heavily impacting mortgage rates. Our survey indicates that the range of weekly rate quotes for the 30-year fixed rate mortgage has more than doubled over the last year. Absolutely. A doubling of mortgage rates will impact the buying power, and it is impacting the buying power of our clients. So again, the aim of the Fed tightening is to curtail demand in an effort to tame inflation. We understand this. Inflation is also at a very, very high rate we haven't seen for decades. And when it comes to the housing market, the Fed's actions are working. We are seeing a real cutback in buyers. We are seeing people make a lot of adjustments. Hopefully that will also be reflected in the rising prices of groceries, among other things too. That's the goal from the Fed. But unfortunately, as we've talked about before, when interest rates go up, mortgage rates tend to follow the 10-year Treasury bond. And of course, the 10-year Treasury bond is up as well as a reflection of rising interest rates. So it's impacting housing. Home sales, both new and existing, are falling. Builders have to cut back production in response to rapidly declining affordability, and annual house price growth has slowed from the peak of nearly 21% in March of this year to 16.7% in July. And that that's changing. Again, this is national data. This is not reflective of Bend, except as part of this whole conglomerate. But this is showing that yes, home price growth has slowed. It's not saying that it is gone down compared month over month compared to the year before, but it still is showing that the growth is slowing. While even 2 months ago, rates above 7% may have been seeming unthinkable, at the current pace, we can expect rates to surpass that level in the next 3 months. And that's what we're looking at. And this is from George Ratui. He's the chief economist at Realtor.com. So these people are people that really follow these trends, and they're thinking rates are going to get higher than 7%. We'll see. There's no doubt that the increasing mortgage rate will make home buying even more challenging. Buyers may still find opportunities as these changes coincide with the time of the year when buyers have historically found the best market conditions to obtain more bargaining power. And this is also from an economist from Realtor.com, but this is true. In our market, typically fall is when we start seeing sellers who did not sell during the summer, who still need to sell, making price adjustments. We start seeing more opportunities. I'm seeing with the deals that we're getting together, as opposed to last year when the asking price was the starting price for a listing to sell. Right now, the asking price is the top, typically. This is what I'm seeing. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't still see homes selling over asking price. If you have a well-priced home that hits the market, we are seeing people jump into it. In fact, this week alone, we had one of our listings enter into multiple offers, and which was very encouraging. So it again, though, is a home that's priced well for this market. It's priced at current market conditions, not what the market was 6 months ago. It's priced where we are right now. And seller and buyers are still out there circling around looking for those bargains. And this one it fit the bill for a lot of people. So again, bargaining power. However, I'm also seeing things like builders who are starting to be willing to maybe think about things like when we were coming out of the housing recession, think about builders who may be willing to throw in a refrigerator. They won't advertise it, but say, if they're sitting on inventory, say, will you give us a refrigerator in addition to the home? Or can you market things like you're not planning on landscaping the backyard? Well, what about doing that as part of this purchase? Fencing the yard, throwing in some extra stuff. When you start seeing things like this is an opportunity if you're representing a buyer to start really negotiating. And if you have a seller who's really willing to sell, they will start considering these things. So while mortgage rates are expected to continue to drift higher over the coming months, much of the rapid increase in rates is likely behind us. Nationally, while month-over-month house prices may decline, annual house price declines are not expected, given the ongoing supply-demand imbalance and continued strength in the labor market. We still have people working. We still have not enough inventory for the demand. We still have lack of inventory. Again, a balanced market is about 5 to 6 months of supply. We're still well below that. And so we can see that compared with earlier in this year, home prices as general have gone down compared to the year before, and we'll go over that. They're still up. So this is kind of what we're seeing. So what's going to happen for home prices? That's a big question. The root issue of what drives house prices almost always is supply and demand, and that's true. Do we have enough supply for the demand? If we have more supply than we have demand, that's when prices will really drop. So right now, we still don't have enough supply for the demand, though it feels that way to a certain extent because it's so slow in comparison to what it was before when we had all these multiple offers, all these buyers trying to find something that would work for them. So this is something to look at and really consider. This is supply and demand ratio is changing rapidly. This is year over year comparisons. So comparing last year to this year, active listings across the nation are up almost 27%. We have more listings, active listings, than we did a year ago. Showings, however, are down 12%. So again, this is the change. This is what's happening across the country. more active listings, fewer showings. Buyers can't afford the home, so they're not really showing as they were before, and there's more inventory, more options for them, which means it's good for buyers, more opportunities for them. So what are the experts saying right now? So this is really interesting. Ivy Zellman is the most bearish of what she thinks is going to happen. She's the CEO of Zellman Associates, and she predicts that U.S. house prices will fall 4% in 2023, and then another 5% decline in 2024. She is the most bearish. Here's another expert. Again, George Retui, he's with Realtor.com. Not surprisingly, deals are not getting done, with sales of new and existing homes declining for over half a year. Given that demand is cooling due to high borrowing costs, incomes falling behind inflation, and a still limited supply pipeline, it is becoming increasingly clear that prices have to decline to restore market liquidity and balance. So that's another chief economist. Here's a third. We have four we're looking at. So Mark Fleming, again with First American. While the markets considered overvalued may need to adjust to the not-so-new reality of higher mortgage rates, housing market fundamentals still support a moderation of annualized house price appreciation rather than a sharp decline. So a moderation of the price increase, instead of going up 15%, maybe going up 8%, 7%, rather than going down. So that's what Mark Fleming is saying. And the last person we're looking at, this is John Paulson. He is the billionaire hedge fund manager who called the 2008 crash. So this is a guy who followed these trends. And he's saying we're not at a risk of a collapse today in the financial system like we were before. It's true. Housing may be a little frothy. Now, I like that word, frothy. So housing prices may come down or they may plateau, but not to the extent it happened. So they're not calling for a 2008 crash the way we did before. As we know, that crash was based upon poor lending practices. So housing frothy. So it's like, I think of waves frothing, and we think of churning and the sea foam that develops. This little churning, a little bit uncertainty, but he's not calling for the collapse that we had before, which is good. So what about the home price forecast for 2023? So this is what the experts are saying. If you look at what they are saying, again, Ivy Zellman, the most bearish, Fannie Mae is calling for a home price forecast reduction of 1.5% in 2023. NAR is calling for an increase of 1.2. The Mortgage Bankers Association 2.8, and the Home Price Expectation Survey, which takes a conglomeration of a lot of people. It's a really interesting source of data here. They're calling for a home increase of 2.6% in 2023. So the average is basically keep it level. And if we keep home prices level, that provides certainty for people. So we shall see. Again, each market's different, and this is national data, but it's kind of interesting, and we'll see how this projection changes over time. I mean, if you looked at what they were just calling for just a couple weeks ago, it was still calling for a stronger increase in home prices than this. So it's changing. These are what the banks are calling for. So if you look at the banks, Goldman Sachs, they're calling for home prices to depreciate 5 to 10%. Wells Fargo is calling for a 5.5% depreciation. Moody's is 5 to 10%, and then Morgan Stanley 3%. So the banks are thinking things are going to go down. We shall see. But if you look at Wells Fargo, which is calling for a depreciation of 5.5% in 2023, look what they're calling for in 2024, an appreciation of 3.1%. So they're calling for home prices to fall and then to recover. So, people will ask us all the time, what's your crystal ball tell us? And it's like, well, what we can do is, base our thought process on what the experts are saying. And this is what the experts are saying. They're not calling for something like this. While there may be a little statistical difference between a small positive number and a small negative number, there are often huge differences in how they impact behavior. So a little think about that. If you're hearing, well, we may go up 2%, that's up versus down 2%. So understand it's small, but it may be the difference between buyers feeling confident to purchase versus I'm going to wait for things to go down even more. So we just don't know. The global CEOs see a mild and short recession, yet they're optimistic about global economy over the year.
Dodo.
Yeah. More than 8 out of 10 anticipate a recession over the next 12 months, with more than half expecting it to be mild and short. And let's hope we don't want anything long term, that's for sure. And again, these are global CEOs. Well, one thing to think about, though, is whenever we've had a recession over the last, since 1980, every time we've had a recession, we've had falling mortgage rates, which is what we have definitely seen. I think about that in 1981 when we had a recession there, mortgage rates fell 5%. Even our most recent one with the housing crisis in 2008, it fell by 1.1% in mortgage rates. So that's something to think about. If we do have a recession, we could probably anticipate interest rates will drop. Now, this is also something to look at here. If you look at historically, this is the global financial crisis. What happens during a global financial crisis? This is what happened during the housing crisis. We had home price depreciation for 5 years. That was huge. That was absolutely huge. But outside of that time frame, the other time we've had global financial crisis, we've had home prices go up. 2013, 2012. Again, the global price depreciation for 5 years was very significant. But we're not calling for a long-term global financial crisis. So if you look at this is another data that they're looking at here too. This is the appreciation/depreciation forecast for August of 2023. And this is people who are, again, experts in this whole thing. This is Zillow, coming from Zillow. So they have economists with Zillow. They're looking at a number of municipal statistical area across the country. And what they are predicting for August of next year is in 618, there will be appreciation, small appreciation, 1 to 3% typically, only 57 that they expect to have greater than 5%, but depreciation in only 30% of the global statistical area, the municipal statistical areas. So you just look at what these economists say, what they predict, and hopefully they're following trends. And again, appreciation, depreciation forecast for 2023. Again, a lot of people are predicting a 3 to 5%. Some are predicting depreciation, and this is the home price expectation survey. So hard to know. Again, these are looking at a number of analysts. These are experts in this. A lot more people are bullish than they are bearish. Forecast 2024 through 2026. This is the percentage of analysts forecasting appreciation or depreciation. So for 2024, we've got 86% saying prices are going to appreciate. In 2025, 91.4% appreciation, and then through 2026, we have 96.8%. So we have the majority of people who think we're going to have appreciation across the country, generally speaking. And that's something good to think about when you have people who are thinking, well, when can I time the market? When's the best time to jump in? I personally think the best time to jump in is when you need a home. It's hard to time. My husband had an interesting saying the other day. He said, it's hard to catch a falling knife. it's like you want to catch the falling knife on the handle, not the blade, so you get cut. But bottom line is, if it's falling and you want to time it, it's hard to know. You don't know when the market will change until it's actually changed. So in the absence of trustworthy, up-to-date information, real estate decisions are increasingly being driven by fear, uncertainty, and doubt. These decisions can be hugely consequential for consumers and businesses. So, and that's true. With fear, we tend to pull back and get uncertain and try to pull everything in. And for some people who are in the process of purchasing a home or thinking of listing their home, they pull back. The thing is, though, if their life change is such that they need to sell, or if they're at a scenario that they need to buy, it's a great time. It can be a great time. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Thank you. So here we go on what's your story. So are you thinking that the sky is falling, or are you thinking that everything is rosy? Or are you thinking more along the lines of, well, I'm going to get the information. I'm going to be the source of the source. I'm going to be able to relay, this is what the experts are telling us. Being someone who is an authority, who is able to counsel your clients so they look to you for answers. This is what we should be as realtors, especially at a time when things are changing. Things are definitely uncertain. Something to think about, and this is the plus here. Why equity is a shining star of the housing market, and that is so true. Think about long term. So, the United States households own $41 trillion in owner-occupied real estate, just over $12 trillion in debt, and the remaining, which is $29 trillion, in equity. The national loan to value in quarter 2022 was 29.5%, the lowest since 1983. Homeowners had an average of $320,000 in inflation-adjusted equity in their homes in quarter two of 2022, an all-time high. That is such a positive thing to talk about. The value of your home equity. People who own homes are sitting on a little wonderful bank account right there. For many households, home equity is the only source of wealth creation. As a result, recent record gains in equity and record declines in loan-to-value ratios will provide many owners with a financial buffer in case economic conditions worsen. In addition, record equity continues to provide fuel for housing demand, particularly if households are relocating to more affordable areas. Think about it. If you have a housing crisis, or not a housing crisis, if we have a financial crisis here in which inflation is kind of going through the roof, the thing is, your home's equity is probably also growing. Every time you make a mortgage payment, you're adding to the value of your home. Equity is that source, that historically safe place to put a lot of money, and that's where we all know that's the number one way that Americans build wealth, is through home ownership. So equity is a key. So let's look just year over year, quarter two of 2022. I know quarter two is not quarter three. We don't have the data yet for quarter three. But from 2022, just look at what the equity gains in Oregon have been. So everyone who's owned a home over a year, quarter one to quarter two of 2022, the average gain was $54,000. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. National average is over $60,000. Home equity gain year over year from quarter two of 2021 to quarter two of 2022. Enormous gains. That's fabulous. So if you think about it, the average equity gain for U.S. homeowners in just 1 year was $60,000. The year-over-year percentage increase in equity for U.S. homeowners with mortgages was almost 28%. The year-over-year total increase in equity for U.S. homeowners with mortgages is $3.6 trillion. year over year. The total average equity per borrower has now reached almost 300,000, the highest in the data series. That is enormous, the value of your home. This is something else to think about. Historically, let's go back to 1991. So this is the percentage change in home prices since 1991. From quarter one of 1991 through quarter two of 2022. Look at how much homes across the United States have gained in value. So on a national average, it's 290%. Wouldn't you think of any investment you could make that makes you 290%? In Oregon, look at the dark blue here, almost black colors. It's been over 500%. As with Montana, Idaho, the biggest state here is Utah, over a 600% increase in value. So home ownership, as we all know, I mean, I can think my first home that I bought was $100,000. I'm sure that house now is worth, I don't know, it's in Irvine, California. It's probably worth, I don't know, 400,000 or 500,000. I don't know. I don't know what the records are, and I don't know the data. I don't know the market in Irvine, but it was less than 1,000 square feet. It was 950 square feet, but it was a house, and bought it for 100,000, and it's got to be worth a ton more. So think about the percentage change in home ownership. If you own a home, you are adding to your value. So when people get discouraged and talk about how prices is, well, you can pull up data like this. Long-term home ownership historically shows a great increase. We may fluctuate up, we may fluctuate down, but historically the growth is there. I think this is a great chart. The option here, if you don't own your home, is to rent. So if you go back to 1988, look what's happened to renting prices. Median asking rent since 1988. And what's great about renting is that you have a place to live, but every time you're paying out money in rent, you're paying someone else's mortgage. You're adding to someone else's equity, as opposed to adding yourself, growing your own equity. And you can share something like this too, the difference of home ownership versus renting. So there's also these other values to home ownership. You think about it, security and stability. You own a home, you have security, stability. In security and stability, you know what your monthly mortgage payment is going to be. It doesn't change. If you have a 30-year fixed, 15-year fixed, every month, even though inflation might be all over the board, your market is going to be consistent. Every month, my mortgage payment is this. I got to set aside for that. Privacy, you own your home. No one's going to kick you out. You have control over what's going on in your home. You can also personalize your home, and you can do your home improvements. You can make that home better for yourself, for your family. There's also a proven scenario between health benefits and home ownership. If you have your own home, typically people own their own home are healthier people. Maybe it's all those home projects that they're working in their yard, whatever, but typically that's a better situation. And financial education, you can control your finances a little bit better. And they're also showing that people who have homes, who own their own homes, participate more in charitable contributions and give more back, such as Danielle's initiative, which is super exciting here. So we believe in housing. We believe in giving back, and civic participation is part of what we do too. So that's that. So I want to go now into what's happening locally. So this is interesting. When we look at what's happening here, we know our market is changing. We know things are dropping. We do know that. However, I pulled up this data here. This is what we did in September. And I always use this slide comparing month over month. So I'm looking at September of 2022 versus September of 2021. And our listings are down 32%. We had 25 new listings that we got in 2021 versus 17 in 2022. However, the volume, if you look at the difference in volume, That's actually just down 25%. So yes, numbers are down 32%, but the volume is actually down 14%. That means we're listing more expensive things. If you look at our pending, we're down 23% in the numbers of pending. However, the volume of pending is just down 14%. So we are selling more expensive things. Closed, we are down 24%, but the volume, we're down just 13%. So again, closing, we're closing less than we did last year, but the value of it is worth a whole lot more. And then year to date, we are down on numbers, but the volume is down only 6%. So comparing last year, which was the best year we've ever had, we're down as far as the value of what we've sold, just 6% compared with the same year-to-date figure from 2021. It's interesting to take a look at this. Now this is us. This has just been Premier. Now I'm going to look also at what's happening here in Bend in just a second. So let's look at this chart. I always pull this one up. I think it's a very interesting chart to look at. This is pulled just right from MLS, and this is showing exactly, this is the Bend residential. I cannot pull out Sun River out of this, so this is the Bend geographical area, including Sun River. And you can see what's happened since March. Look at the number of listings that have gone up. It's just shot up tremendously. Remember last year, this time, number of listings was way, way down because as soon as listings would hit market, they would sell. So new listings are down here in this ground line, and then sold listings are the dark color here. So new listings and solds are almost the same. Solds are kind of leveling off this whole year. Our boom that we normally would get in June, July, did not go up the way they did. We started building listings, active listings going up. So inventory levels are definitely higher. Listing prices, active median list price, they're leveling off. They're actually dropped a little bit from earlier this year. We had a higher in February, I believe. New medium list price. Now you can see here the new median list price. So these are new listings. They're down. So people, when they're hitting the market, are being more realistic, following the market, local trends. Things are down as far as new active listings, as far as the prices. And sold median sales price is right here. It's not at the high it was before, but it's changed a little bit. Absorption rate. This is again inventory. So we went from half a month's supply to almost 2.5 months of supply. That's more inventory, more opportunities for buyers, but means also more competition for sellers. So think about that here. Sold to list ratio. Now we're no longer getting the 102, 104% of sales price. We're now down about 96%. So we're starting to see bargains. We're starting to see buyers and sellers coming in and negotiating a price instead of, again, like I said earlier today, that the asking price is not the top, it's the bottom. We're starting to see people coming in and saying, okay, you're asking $500,000. I think your home is worth $480, so I'm going to offer $480. Let's see if we can negotiate something out of this. So people are willing to start negotiating. Days in market are going back up. We're almost up to, was it 37 days on market? And then price volume right here. Price volume, the volume is up, so the active list volume is up. We have more active listings, so the value, we have more inventory. I mean, the value of our listings is up just because we have more listings sitting there. But the sold volume is kind of flattening out. We're selling roughly the same amount that we've been for a while, down a little bit. This is what's happening in Bend. So this is looking at September of 2022 versus 2021 for Bend single family residential. So you can see that we're up 27% in active listings in Bend. More inventory, we all know that. New listings, however, people are not putting new homes on the market. They're pulling back. We're down 23% compared with 2021. New pendings were also down 31%, almost 32% compared with 2021. And for solds, we're down 23% compared with last year. So actually, if you think about where we are with Bend Premier, We, for the volume of what we're doing, it's similar. I mean, sold volume down 14%, but the average sales price is still up compared with the same month a year ago, up 11%, both average and median sales price. So sales prices, it's a key right now. Percentage of sales to list price were down, we're under the 100%, and months of supply were up 40%. This is a key thing. When you're talking with your clients, talk realistically with them about sales prices, because it really comes down to the fact that there are buyers out there. We are seeing them. But if your home is priced higher than the market, or if it's been sitting there without any offers, or if it sits there without any showings whatsoever, we know it's priced. You've hit the market too high. If it's been sitting there with a few showings but not a lot of activity, it's time to really think about a good price reduction if you're going to sell the property. There's more opportunities. There are new listings hitting the market, maybe not at the rate they were last year, but there still are new listings, 184 new bin single-family residential that hit the market in September. That's 184 other options for those buyers. Of course, that differentiates based upon pricing, but still, there are other options for your clients. So something to really think about when you have those talks with your clients. What is the reality? What is it they really want to get? Do they want to sell their home? Or we've had some people who've said, I'm going to pull my home off the market. And that's totally fine. That's their option. If they wish to turn their home off the market, that's always a valid option for someone in the fall. We see that happening, but that also means that people who do that can't get their home sold. When there's less inventory out there, there's more. We still have buyers, and so it may be an opportunity for people who keep their home on the market to get it sold because there's fewer options. So I'd like to ask all of you, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? I have found the chat button. So let me see if I can pull that up again too, so I can look at everybody. But if you have something to say, just feel free to unmute your mic and let us know what's going on. What are you seeing out there?
If I may go first?
Yes, thank you, Eric.
As you know, I'm tied in with the Redfin website as well, and that's a pretty good indicator of activity. And we're going through these batches of 2 weeks of absolute silence, and all of a sudden, after the rates hover where they are for up to 2 weeks, then all of a sudden buyers seem to be accepting that as the new normal, and all of a sudden the phones light up and the inquiries through the website lights up. So we're in one of these periods where all of a sudden this week my phone's been crazy busy with new inquiries, new interest, new desires to buy. So we're in one of these periods where everyone's getting used to that 7% interest rate. They know it'll come down at some point, but they might as well jump now and do something now, before it even goes higher, maybe 7.5 or whatever they think. So we're seeing an increase. The positive spin I'm giving to buyers is we're back in a little more fun market time. It was very frustrating last year trying to get offers in when a new listing would hit, and that day there were 8 offers in. That was a very difficult time to sell real estate. So we're seeing now it's more fun where you can actually look at a home and decide, what are we going to offer? It's not going to be what they're asking. And it's back to some of that sustainable, balanced marketplace. So I have been reaching out to every buyer who I've been in contact with for the last year who never bought, saying, now's the time. We are seeing sellers ready to negotiate, ready to discount. Let's renew your searches and let's find a home for you now. And they seem to be responding with agreement that, yeah, this is the time. Let's see what we can get. We just went into contract with a Hayden home, a new construction Hayden home in Sisters, and we came in $20,000 under asking, plus a $20,000 credit towards their closing costs and rate buy down with upgrades, and they accepted the offer. So there's an indicator right there that even Hayden Home realizes we better be grateful for every buyer we're getting and every offer we're getting, and let's see if we can meet their price. So it's actually becoming, even though the interest rates are frustrating right now, it's a funner time in real estate to be working with clients.
Thanks for sharing that, Eric. That is really, really, really good. And I'm seeing that too. The idea of selling points coming in. I'm seeing that actually on offers, new ratified contracts in which we have our buyers negotiating for big contributions from the seller to their closing costs, to their point, to their buy down on the rates, all that sort of stuff. And it's encouraging what you're saying here too about a big builder being willing to negotiate and to give some credits. I had talked about that earlier, that this is what we used to see when we were coming out of the housing crisis. I hadn't heard that specifically though, so thanks for sharing that. You can negotiate with Hayden Homes. That's good to know. Credits towards closing costs, upgrades, all kinds of stuff. They don't want to be sitting on this inventory. And they're in the business of selling homes. And so, guys, I mean, any profit is better than no profit from a Hayden Home perspective. And even if the profit margins are going to shrink because they're contributing more to the buyer, it's a good thing for everybody, an opportunity to really negotiate. And also, what Eric said is concerning Redfin is true. What I've seen too. When I was away at conference, there were very, very few deals written while I was gone. I came back. I was like, okay, what's happening? But this is when the interest rates shot up. This weekend, we had 7 new ratified contracts. So it's like, again, the shock of it all, and now buyers are back in the market. So that is great. Yeah. Thanks very much. Anyone else have something to contribute?
I also, if I may, when I'm talking to the lenders for my buyers and we discuss, do we come in with a credit back towards closing costs, or everyone seems to be focused on this, buy down, rate buy down, get some credit back towards a rate buy down. Most of the lenders I work with are counseling their buyers, get the credit towards closing costs to free up some of your cash, but don't do the buy down. It's very interesting. You would think that everybody would want to buy down their interest rate right now, but every lender I'm working with that has been in this business 20 to 30 years are saying the interest rates will come down again and you can refinance. So take the cash, put it towards your closing costs, your down, your appraisal and those kind of costs, and free up your cash, but keep the interest rate where it is and then refinance in 2 to 3 years. That's the counsel, and then they run the graphs to show what the difference will be time over time. The cost to buy down a rate has skyrocketed. So to buy it down 1 percentage point is almost $15,000, the latest calculation, to buy 1 percentage point down. If you took that $15,000 and wiped out your closing costs, freed up your cash, and then in 2 years refinance, you're way ahead of the game on the long-term financial picture. So just food for thought.
That's helpful too. Thank you, Eric. I think about that also. I know when you buy a new home, you typically have things you need to purchase as well. So if you take all that cash into a rate buy down, when you consider that, you still have to buy maybe a washer and dryer. There's sometimes furniture, things that you need to blinds, things like that when you're moving into a new home. And yes, we can anticipate if we do get into this into a recession. Remember that chart we showed about historically how when a recession hits, that you typically do see mortgage rates drop. That's an opportunity to refi. And I know I talked with a lot of lenders recently and also title companies, and they're all saying that the refi market is gone right now, as we can anticipate. That doesn't exist, and they're struggling for lenders. But I think that's excellent advice there, Eric, what you're seeing from your mortgage lenders. Anyone else have anything? Any haves or wants? Anything else to discuss? Diane, how are you feeling? I've been wondering about you. If you guys don't know Diane, last year she broke her ankle and her shoulder. Well, she broke her other ankle. So how's that healing? Is that getting better? sorry for putting you on the spot there, Diane. Maybe I'll just follow up with an email on that. Anyone else have any wants? Jane, do you have something? Or
Yeah,
Colleen? Yeah,
Linnea,
Jane?
how's Bob Say doing?
Well, Bob's here, and he's doing. Bob, do you want to give us all a medical update? He's all muted.
Are you muted?
Okay, I'm on.
Oh,
Turn your volume down.
Yeah, Bob, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we sure can.
Okay. Yeah, mine is coming along. It's a long road, but I'm getting better. And
Good.
Diane is getting better. She should have load bearing.
weight bearing, low bearing. Yeah, I think I can be weight bearing. We're gonna start next week.
Okay, you'll be able to weight bearing next week, so you can start walking on your ankle.
Start to, yeah.
It's been 6 weeks tomorrow, so yeah.
Oh
It's
my.
quite a rodeo here.
Oh, the two of you, my goodness, nothing else should ever break again.
Fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
Knock wood on my head. Yeah, that should work.
It takes about 40 minutes to make a cup of coffee around here.
Oh, good. Well, I would make a big pot then, so I don't have to do it again for a while.
Yeah, it's something else. Anyway, thanks for asking.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. You have such a positive attitude. That's wonderful.
You have to.
Yeah. Colleen, did you have something here?
Yes, and Bob and Diane, we wish you all the best. We love you both, and our thoughts are with you. So get better, and we're anxious to see you.
Thank you.
I wanted to let you know that my manufactured home on 1 acre is coming back on the market today. No fault of the seller. Buyer financing fell through, which was very unfortunate because these kids were very excited. So if you have anybody for manufactured home on land in La Pine, this is a really cute house. It has a great floor plan. Tons of updates have been done. It's 1,800 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, new engineered wood floors, new interior, exterior paint, septic replaced, well replaced, new heat pump, new windows. It has a large barn and a detached garage, and just offers a lot of things that a buyer might be interested in for $369. Easy to show. My client wants to move back to Missouri. All the inspections have been done and completed, so let me know if you have a buyer. Thank you.
Thanks, Colleen. Yeah, that's just so unfortunate for your client. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything else to contribute? Yeah, Julie?
Yeah, and I also, my thoughts are with you, Bob and Diane. The load bearing comment makes me think of our friends who have a surf boat, and we all, talk to ourselves like we're moving fat sacks around there just to distribute the weight for a good wave. So it's always a fun time. But I have a few buyer needs. So I still am looking for someone in the 600 to 750 range, just like a house on at least half an acre with some privacy and a shop that can fit a Sprinter van. They've been looking in Bend and La Pine, but are opening up to Redmond, Terrebonne. They're not super into Crooked River Ranch, but for the right place, they might be. And then I have another buyer need, 600 to 900 plus or minus. They're mainly looking in the Eagle Crest area. They'd like a golf course view, but nothing that's going to get hit by a ton of balls. So maybe something close to a tee box, 2 to 3 car garage, or just like a 2-car garage with a third space for a golf cart and a big entertaining area. And then I have someone interested in the greens in Redmond, if anybody has something like that coming up, because there's only one listing that they've already seen out there. So yeah, if anybody has anything in those areas, please let me know. Julie Carnegie. Thanks.
Yeah,
I've got a
Julie?
couple. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, and then I've got a couple of
No,
halves.
go ahead, Eric. Go ahead. I was just going to read your chat.
Oh, okay, okay. So 2 halves. I've got a 5-acre land parcel in Terrebonne. It's east of Terrebonne. It's above Xenolith, I think. It's on First Street off of Xenolith, and it's up on an elevated point. 5 level acres with a well already installed, septic feasibility approval with unobstructed sweeping views of Smith Rock. You could have a single level home built with unobstructed views of the entire Smith Rock range there. It's a stunning parcel of land, not active yet, but we have signed listing documents and probably asking $425 for this home site. That's just unmatched. It's one of the prettiest pieces of land and views I've seen. Also, our new construction project at 84 Northwest Portland in downtown Bend finally got approval for the connection to the sewer and water. We've been waiting 9 months from Bend to approve access to that sewer and water. It's been a very challenging process with the building division within Bend lately. So we have new construction, 2,100 square feet, a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, plus an office, main level master, oversized 2-car garage with a 1-bedroom, 1-bath ADU over the garage. Fronting Portland Avenue, a block to the river, 3 blocks to downtown Bend. We're still anticipating 1.6 or below for a price. But we are looking at mid-November completion now, and it is stunning. Everything is almost finished inside, so there's a lot to look at now. If you have anybody that wants to see it, let me know. We can get you in.
Yeah, it looks like Danielle may have a buyer for that, Eric. She put on the chat there. So you
Perfect.
need to connect with Danielle. And then Eric had written also, Julie, has your client ever thought about Big River in Lapine? So that's in the chat there too.
Thanks.
So anything else from anybody? Okay, if not, I'm going to send for people who came in a little bit late. Oh, it's Julie. It wasn't Big River. It was Big Timber, Big Timber in Lapine. I'm going to go ahead and put out the information as soon as this is done. I'll get the recording out there so you can all see that, and then let everyone know a little bit more about this branch office we have there in Medford. So a great referral partner with our own Eric. And Eric is awesome with referrals. So hopefully if you have clients who are interested in Southern Oregon, send them Eric's way. And thank you so much, guys. We will be seeing you soon.